Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're breaking down the epic world of Sky High, but we're looking at it through the lens of a hyper-realistic 4K blockbuster movie experience. We aren't just revisiting some standard superhero action. We're analyzing a massive cinematic journey about crushing family legacy, immense pressure, and a betrayal you honestly never see coming. It's a spectacular story about a floating high school suspended way above the clouds, hiding legendary superheroes right in plain sight. Let's jump right in.
Right off the bat, we've got to ground this high-stakes, 3D-level cinematic story in its emotional core. Take a look at this quote from Lila. In a world that's completely obsessed with raw, destructive power, she's out here challenging the very foundation of what it actually means to be heroic. I want you to keep this thought in mind because it really acts as the ultimate anchor for everything that is about to unfold today.
So, the tension here? It's so thick you could cut it with a knife. Picture this in ultra-high definition. You have Steve and Josie, right? Known to the entire world as the legendary commander, with his earth-shattering super strength, and Jetstream, who can literally fly at supersonic speeds. Against this immense, almost suffocating legacy stands their teenage son, Will. Will is about to start his first day at Sky High, the ultra-elite superhero high school. But there's a massive problem. Will has absolutely zero superpowers, none at all. The tension is so real that Will actually pretends to lift incredibly heavy weights in his bedroom, just to fool his dad and hide his completely powerless reality. Which brings us to a frankly terrifying trial that every new student has to face: Coach Boomer's power placement. Now imagine standing on this massive stage, all eyes are on you, and you're forced to demonstrate your abilities. Coach Boomer just watches, and in a split second, he defines your entire destiny. If your power is deemed spectacular and combat-ready, boom, you are crowned a hero. If not, you're instantly downgraded, pushed to the margins, and branded as a mere sidekick. It's a ruthless, completely unforgiving system that instantly sets up our whole underdog narrative.
So who actually ends up at the bottom of the barrel? Well, this brutal system gives us our ultimate cast of underdogs. These are the kids Boomer just instantly tossed into the sidekick category. You've got Zach, whose grand world-saving ability is glowing in the dark. You have Ethan, who can turn into a puddle of liquid. Then there's Magenta, who's a shapeshifter, but get this, she can only shift into a guinea pig. And of course Lila, who bravely refuses to even participate in this totally unfair sorting system just out of pure principle. On the surface, sure, these powers seem completely useless for fighting supervillains, but as you'll see in the climax of our breakdown, this specific grouping is a brilliant, brilliant setup.
For Will, it all boils down to one absolutely devastating number: 0. Yep, 0 powers when he steps onto Coach Boomer's stage. When Will finally admits he has no super strength, Boomer literally doesn't believe him. In a brutally humiliating moment, Boomer drops an actual car on Will. Will only survives by diving out of the way at the last second. So then, believing Will must instead have his mother's flying power, Boomer physically throws him off a high platform. And Will just falls and hits the ground. No flight, no strength. Will is sent off to the school nurse, who uses her X-ray vision only to confirm the tragic truth. Sometimes, even when both parents are elite heroes, the kid inherits nothing. Will is officially a sidekick.
Okay, so meanwhile, the plot seriously thickens. To cheer his kid up, Steve gives Will access to his ultra-secure secret cave. This room looks like a cinematic masterpiece filled with trophies of defeated villains. That includes the ultimate weapon, the pacifier, which actually belonged to Steve's greatest enemy, Royal Pain. But guys, there's a massive hidden threat here. See, Steve recently defeated a giant robot in the city and brought its eye back to the cave as a trophy. Unbeknownst to them, that eye contains a hidden high-tech camera. Somewhere in the shadows, a sinister villain named Stitches and Royal Pain herself are watching the Stronghold family's every single move.
All right, let's cut back to Sky High. The tension is literally at a breaking point. Enter the cafeteria clash. Will accidentally gets tripped by a bully named Lash, which sends his lunch tray flying right onto War and Peace. Now, Warren isn't just your average grumpy student. His mother was a hero, but his father was a notorious supervillain, a villain that Will's dad, the commander, personally put in prison with a life sentence. Warren has been glaring daggers at Will since day one, and this spilled lunch, it's the spark that ignites a very literal explosion.
And boom, Warren just absolutely erupts. We're talking literal fireballs flying right at Will. Will tries to dodge, but Warren smartly targets Will's helpless sidekick friends just to draw him out. Seeing his friends in mortal danger triggers this immense, primal survival instinct inside Will. In a totally jaw-dropping moment, Will's inherited super strength finally awakens. He catches a massive cafeteria table, hurls Warren across the room, and ends the whole fight by blasting out Warren's flames with a fire extinguisher.
But here's the thing. Unlocking these crazy powers comes with a massive psychological cost. Because Will now has super strength, the school just immediately yanks him into the elite hero class, leaving his true friends behind in the sidekick class.
Will is suddenly forced to sit at the hero table during lunch, surrounded by the exact same bullies who were tormenting him yesterday. This sudden dramatic shift in status completely fractures his lifelong bond with Lila. He's becoming the hero his parents always wanted, for sure, but he is losing his true friends in the process.
Right when Will is at his most vulnerable, in steps Gwen. She is a gorgeous, incredibly popular senior with the power of technopathy, meaning she has the ability to control and build extremely complex machines just with her mind. She swoops in to act as Will's science partner and private tutor. But listen, Gwen is not just some innocent love interest. She is an alluring, highly manipulative force expertly designed to pull Will further away from his roots. She's the literal wedge driving Will and Lila apart, and her charm completely blinds Will to the harsh reality of what is actually happening right in front of him.
And all of this, it's perfectly setting up a masterfully orchestrated, incredibly cinematic villainous heist. Gwen convinces Will to host a party at his house while his parents are away. When Lila shows up just to check on him, Gwen maliciously intercepts her. She lies right through her teeth, telling Lila that Will doesn't want her around anymore because she's just a sidekick. Gwen then pulls Will into the secret cave and kisses him, completely distracting him. Because simultaneously, the true objective is unfolding. While Will is distracted, Gwen's accomplice, a bully named Speed, sneaks in and steals the pacifier, the ultimate weapon of royal pain. The trap just snaps shut, perfectly.
So Will eventually realizes the pacifier is missing from the cave, and the suspense just boils over. Feeling awful, he refuses to go to the homecoming dance, opting instead to look through his dad's old high school yearbook. And what he finds? It literally sends chills down your spine. He finds a picture of a student from his father's past named Sue Tenney, a student who completely vanished years ago and was rumored to have become a supervillain. And in that yearbook photo, Sue Tenney is holding the exact same weapon, the pacifier. And guys, here is the massive, jaw-dropping twist that hits like a blockbuster movie reveal. Gwen, she is Sue Tenney. She is royal pain. Years ago, during her epic battle with Will's parents, her weapon, the pacifier, malfunctioned. It didn't destroy her. It turned her into an infant. She was rescued and raised by her henchman, Stitches. She has literally grown up all over again, infiltrating Sky High under the fake identity of Gwen, just waiting for the perfect moment to execute her absolute revenge. Why? Because years ago, Sky High wrongly categorized her, a brilliant technopath, as a mere sidekick. Now the climax of this explainer just explodes into a literal ticking clock. Down at the homecoming dance, Gwen drops the act. She reveals herself as royal pain and uses the pacifier to turn Will's parents, the teachers, and all the elite heroes into helpless crying babies. It's wild. Moments later, Lila and the supposedly useless sidekicks realize what's happening and make a daring, stealthy escape through the AC vents. Meanwhile, Will, who finally figured out the whole truth, enlists the help of Ron, the school bus driver. Ron activates the bus's hidden flight wings to rush Will back up to the floating Sky High. The final battle is officially on.
This is where all that action truly pays off in spectacular 3D-style glory. It is an absolute masterclass in utilizing what others deem useless. The sidekicks fight back, and they go hard. Ethan, the boy who turns into a liquid puddle, slips away and actually manages to plunge the bully Lash's head straight into a toilet. War and Peace teams up with the sidekicks, using his physical combat skills to smash the super-fast Speed into a wall, trapping him completely. Then Lila unleashes the full, terrifying might of her plant manipulation, summoning massive vines to effortlessly capture the multiplying clones of Gwen's henchwoman, Penny. The underdogs are completely dominating the battlefield.
But wait, Royal Pain has one last absolutely devastating move up her sleeve. Realizing she's actually losing the fight against Will and the sidekicks, Gwen maliciously sabotages the school's anti-gravity engines. The cinematic tension is pushed to its absolute limit right here. Sky High, this incredibly massive structure filled with helpless infant heroes, begins plummeting out of the sky, heading directly toward the earth below. The destruction of the entire city and everyone inside the school is imminent.
Picture this in slow motion, like the ultimate movie climax. Will confronts Gwen amidst the total chaos of the falling school. But with a brutal, hyper-realistic punch, Gwen knocks Will entirely out of the falling building. Will is just free-falling through the clouds, the wind is roaring past him, the ground is rushing up to meet him, and right at the very brink of death, the impossible happens. He unlocks his mother's powers. Will awakens supersonic flight in midair. He soars right back up, striking Gwen with the sheer force of a blockbuster superhero, and knocks her out cold.
To pull off this final, impossible save, you need the absolute perfect synergy between hero and sidekick. Will flies underneath the massive, plummeting school and uses his super strength to physically catch it, straining against this immense weight just inches before it crushes a house. But he obviously can't hold it forever.
That's when Magenta, the girl whose only power is turning into a tiny guinea pig, scurries into the possibly narrow circuitry of the engine room and chews the exact wire needed to reboot the anti-gravity system. The school floats once more. Meanwhile, the genius teacher, Mr. Medulla, who actually retained his massive intellect even as an infant, tinkers with the pacifier and reverses its effects, turning all the babies back into adults. The world is saved.
So, as the dust finally settles, the villains are hauled off, and Will and Lila share a soaring kiss in the sky, we are left with a profoundly lingering thought. Are true heroes born from the sheer magnitude of their powers, or from the choices they make when they have absolutely none? Think about it. It was the so-called useless sidekicks who ultimately saved the day, proving that true heroism isn't defined by what you can do, but by who you choose to be. I really hope this deep dive gave you a spectacular new perspective on this story. Keep asking questions, keep looking past the surface, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.